let's start with the music. So you were actually signed to a publishing deal at 14. So
Yeah.
that's very young. And how did it all come about? Obviously, you said that music is your passion. So how did you kind of end up getting into that so young?
Well, I was always like, I don't know a time I didn't know that I was going to be a musician and a singer. Like from when I was literally just like earliest memories, it's always what I knew I wanted to do. And I was like writing songs from when I was super young. They probably weren't that great when I was 7, but it got me going. And then it was really just through a really random, tenuous link that I managed to get in front of a publisher and a manager when I was young, and they liked what I was doing and took me on, and it kind of got my foot in the door in the industry and started doing songwriting sessions and going to studios. And yeah, it's been a bit of a roller coaster journey ever since. I thought by this point I'd be on my 3rd world tour, but it takes a bit of time, doesn't it?
Well, it will happen, definitely. So when did you first start playing music? Was that something that you kind of got into singing at home, or was it, with friends in a band?
No, it was just at home. It was just always like just from when I was really, really young, and I started playing the guitar and the piano a little bit when I was young too. I'm not by no means a pianist or a guitarist, but I just play well enough to, I realised if I wanted to write songs and stuff, I needed to be able to play the music as well. So yeah, I just got into it from super young, and I always loved storytelling, and I always loved kind of like the relatability of music when I listened to songs. So, it was always like my dream to write songs based on my own experiences that people would then relate to and apply to their own thing, and either just be empowered by or be comforted by.
So how would you describe your music?
Well, I feel like only really in the last, I want to say year and a half, 2 years, have I really found my sound. Before that, I was always writing and I was kind of doing pop, and, for me, my 2 top artists growing up was always J. Cole and John Mayer. And they're 2 very different sounds.
Yeah.
John Mayer is singer-songwriter, guitarist, storytelling. J. Cole's a hip hop artist. And I always swayed more towards the kind of John Mayer world because I felt like that's where I had more of a place. But I always loved Drake and J. Cole and hip hop production. And my background and my heritage is Greek-Cypriot, and my roots and my culture is a big part of who I am. I always sang in Greek, and I always thought at some point I would tie that in. But then towards the end of the first lockdown, when we were kind of allowed to go to studios again and stuff, I started, or maybe it was just before that, I started working with a producer called Vic Tizzle, who's a hip hop producer. He works with Miss Banks, Tion Wayne, and he was making these beats that were super hip-hop-y, and I was like, I don't know how I'm going to sing on that. And I started freestyling these kind of Greeky melodies, and all of a sudden this kind of sound was birthed of tying in the UK sound and hip-hop culture that I grew up with my heritage and roots. And what I want to do is be a champion for that Greek sound, which isn't just limited to Greece and Cyprus. It's Middle Eastern, and it's, there's so many cultures that relate to that. So yeah, now I found this sound, and I would say it's a fusion of UK hip hop production with Greek Middle Eastern kind of elements.
Nice. So I think we kind of said about this, who your influences are, but what are some other artists that inspired you? Is it jazz or classical, or we've talked a little bit about hip hop and soul?
Yeah, I mean, Amy Winehouse is one of my biggest influences. I grew up listening to a lot of Etta James and Billie Holiday, Elvis. My dad always used to play that stuff, so I loved all of that. I also really love Taylor Swift and Pink. I really have a massively eclectic taste in music. If you go on my liked songs on Spotify, God knows what you're going to get. It will go from Burna Boy to a Greek song to the Spice Girls to Drake. It's just random, but I just like really good music in all genres. I
Absolutely.
I can appreciate that.
And what was it like to hear your song played on the radio for the first time?
Do you know what? It was amazing. It was so I don't know if this was the first time ever, but the first time it really felt sick was Manny Norte played my single Red Flag just after it came out, and that was sick.
Amazing.
Really
And tell us about your latest music. So you have a new song coming out in September called You Can Have Him. Is that right?
Yeah. And the funny thing about this song is that all of my songs are very kind of they're from some sort of story, whether it's my life or my friends. But this one actually came from a conversation that I had with one of the producers when I was going through the process of going on to Love Island.
Oh, great.
Really random. But one of the producers, she said to me, you know, what would you do if you were in there and you were coupled up with someone and someone came in and wanted your man? And I said, well, if you can take him, you can have him. You know,
it's
my
a
dad's
good one.
yeah, well, the point being, like, you shouldn't be able to take that person. Like, they shouldn't want to go and they
That's
shouldn't
true.
be available
Exactly.
to take.
If they're loyal,
Yeah.
they're loyal.
Exactly. So the idea is if you can take him, then he clearly wasn't mine to begin with.
Got it.
So and then I went into the studio with my good friend Malali, who's an amazing songwriter, and I was like, I've got this concept, and me and him and this producer called Trey Kwa, who produced Red Flag as well, we just were like, right, let's chop this up, let's make this concept, and yeah, we wrote this song, and it's coming out in September.